Well guys, how are things? So what we're doing today, we're going to teach you how to knit a net, whether that be a fishing net for running across a stream, a purse net or a rabbit net or whatever. It doesn't really matter, the principle is the same. So we have our net needle. So this one's carved out of a bit of sycamore. Uh, Not a big deal, okay? And then we have our planchette or our net gauge, okay? And this is what determines the gauge of our net all the way through. Be conscious, this, which is about 2 inches, maybe credit card thickness, this is perfect for rabbits, but it's not ideal. You want very large fish if you're going to catch fish in this, okay? So be conscious of that. Whatever size this is, your net is going to be, the diamond in your net is going to be the double the size of this, because this is the half gauge for it, okay? So I'm going to show you now how to load up. We have string here, how to load up the needle, and then we'll take you through the process. This is one of the things that students that come on my courses find very, very rewarding, and a lot of students really get into it, when they get the hang of it, because it's a bit of a black art. So we put our loop down through here like so, okay? And now we just pinch that here, and we just work in an anti-clockwise fashion and load up the needle, okay? And it's just round, anti-clockwise, and so on and so forth. Now, I know there's lots of videos, and even I teach it on some of my courses as well, how to make a net with paracord that's tied between two trees and stuff like that. And that's very good, and it is great, and it's a great way to get you out of quick trouble for a net. But realistically, this is the correct procedure to make a net. If you want to make a net properly, this is the way you do it. And I used to make long nets as a teenager in this fashion, and some of the long nets could be, if we had a field that we were going to go rabbiting in on a windy night, and say the field had 100 yards stretch across the span, well, you need a bag in a net for that. So the bag is the buffer zone, or otherwise your rabbits are going to kind of bounce off it like a trampoline and go back into the burrow. But so the bag would be 50% of the net. So if you have a 100-yard field that you're spanning with a net, you need a 150-yard net. That's very important. So anyhow, get back to the point. I would make nets of 150 yards, 200 yards, and even up to 300 yards on some occasions in this fashion. And really, when you get the hang of this, it is very easy. I've never had a student on a course yet that didn't succeed, even if it was eventually, but they did succeed. So I have enough on this, because you're probably fed up listening to me going on and on. I'll just get the net started with it and a few rows on it. Yet again, you can see there's just really the benefit of having a neck knife carry system. It just works so much better when you're doing stuff like this all the time rather than on your hip. So the first row, we're just tying this on with a double knot, or you can tie it on with a clove hitch or whatever. It doesn't really matter, okay? Starting off. Now I'll get my gauge. Now, this first row, we're going to put 4, put 6 going across, okay? And what you have to understand, and this is, I have seen this kind of being put forward in a wrong fashion, should we say. The row that we're putting down now is in terms the height or the depth of the river that you're putting your net across, okay? And the length, so the width of your river runs on across that way. Now, a lot of people do it the other way, but the problem is, if you're running a 20-yard net, how many initial loops do you have to put on this? So it's much easier to do the depth of it and then work the length of it on out, if that makes sense. Now, the first row is a little bit different to all the subsequent rows. So we're just pinching my gauge here. I'm catching this, okay, and I'm just throwing a loop over. Release another little bit of twine. A loop over, right? I'm coming under, through, and down. And there you go. So that's our first. Now we're going on to number 2. pinching at the same, and we're just releasing line as we're going along. Over, under, and through. This is so simple, like, I mean, even I can do it. Now, we're on to our third loop, and we said we're going to do 6, but the amount of loops that you would do on the first row is determined by how deep you want this net. Okay, and loop over, we're coming under and through. Okay, simple as that. So guys, everybody in the audience, you know what we're doing? We're going over, under, and through. You're all doing great. I'm keeping an eye on you and you're doing fine. Okay, through again. This is our last one on this. I'm watching you now. Through. There you go. Great job, everybody. Now, we're effectively going on to our first row of our net now. So you can see that we have a diamond here. Now, the only difference this time, when we come through and up, we're pulling this all the way down to the planchette gauge, the net needle gauge, whatever you want to call it. Okay, so it's stopping there. And now exactly the same, over, through, and down. Okay, and releasing a little bit of string, twine, cordage, whatever your favorite moniker is for it. Over, and then we move on. Now, one thing that you want to be conscious of as you're working along here, do make sure that you do pinch your knot down. Okay, this is a big mistake a lot of people make. They don't pinch that knot. Okay, and I find sometimes a little tug up like that is what really cinches it home. So we'll have a look at this now in a second. It's amazing, you know, when you look through the sort of historical and archaeological maps where this kind of appeared everywhere. It's such an important skill to have, maybe not for survival, but definitely for long-term survival. Okay, so now we'll have a look at that, and you can see what's starting to happen here now. Okay, so I'll do one more row. Okay, and it's that simple. Now we can add, we can shape nets if we're doing purse nets for rabbits. We can shape nets and we can add stitches and remove links, but we don't need to do this. We just need to do it simple. And you will with time develop a fluidity with this. Now, we're using a kind of a cotton here, which is very good. It cinches very, very well. But on the last net gauge that I'm going to tie off, I'm going to show you a different knot that you would use should you be using nylon. Okay, because nylon has this tendency of not wanting to really knot and stay together. So we're coming up to the last one here now in a second, and I'm going to show you. So just so you can see the last two knots. This one, like all the others, over, under, through. Okay? But now this is the last knot, and this is what we do should we be using nylon. Okay? So what we do now, release a little bit of line here. Over, exactly the same. Through, like we would have on the first time, and we come through again. Okay? And there you go, and that's the knot that you would tie should you be tying up to nylon all the time, that you would use that double knot throughout the process. Okay, and there you go, simple as that. Okay, so guys, we'll see you next week. Any problems or any difficulties, send me a message. You can get me on, maybe it's hard to get me on YouTube, but you can certainly get me on Eagle Ridge Survival on Instagram or Facebook. Okay guys, talk to you soon. Thanks.